actually really torn. But it's basically the same sentence repeated about 8 times. So it's a section of this 5, and then Moses sent his spies to Jericho to scout out. Anyway, so I'll tell you.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Nice that you are here. Thank you. We are up to chapter number 2, Perek Bet, in the stone edition of the Art Scroll. It's on page 12 in the Hebrew side, page 13 on the English side, and we are up to the bottom, Pasuk 20, which is the last line. So last week we spoke about Hashem creating. The Torah tells us again that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the human being, and Hashem created all the animals which are around on the universe. Next thing which the Torah is going to tell us now is that Hashem presents these animals to that only human being which is around. That only human being is called Adam. He will get presented all the animals from Hashem, and the goal of that will be that the human being is going to give those animal names. Now, how does a human being, which never saw animals before, how is such a human being going to give those animals names? Okay, so that's question number 1. Question number 2 is, why do we have names? Why are you called Rochel Hinder? Why? What for? Whom does it help that you are called a name? What do you think? Does anybody have some suggestions? Why do we call people names? Why do we call animal names?
I asked you this last week as referring to the actual word in Hebrew, Vayikra, because I said that it was the same use of the word to name something as it is to call someone's name. And you said, well, that's
Vayikra. Yeah,
that's because that's what you do. Your name is for other people to get your attention, to recognize it.
Okay, fine. So that's absolutely true. The name of a person, the reason why you are called Rochel Hinder, why you are called Yaakov Ben Adron, yes, and why anybody is called whatever they are called, the reason for that is because that's like a number plate of a car. It's a way to identify a person. If I need to identify, if I need to know what object to put to which subject, then I need a name. And B, that person, if I want to call that person, how is that person going to know that I'm calling him unless that I'm calling him by his name? If I am calling you, how will you know that I want your attention?
Because you call the name.
Because I call your name. So the name is here in order to be able to draw attention to myself. That's the reason why we've got the name.
And to set yourself apart from the next person.
Okay, so that is now already a very amazing point, to be quite amazing, because the point is this: while you say that the name is here to set someone aside from another person, if we would not have names, then many human beings would be the same, even though that every human being is unique. Everybody, literally every human, that's the absolute miracle of this world, that Hashem, God, when He created human beings, the Gemara is saying that the same way as the faces of human beings are not the same, even if you've got identical twins, then there will be something in their face which you can still distinguish one twin from the other. And the Gemara says that in the same way, Talmud tells us, in the same way that the faces are not identical, in the same way the logic of people is not the same. Which means that even in North Korea, where there is a doctrine of people, of somebody who is dictating what people should do, what people should think, what people should act, how people should not act, even in such a place, when you've got 1,000 people next to each other, you will be able to diversify one person from the next, right? And this is an absolute extreme miracle, because if we take into account that we've got like 7-8 billion people in the world, and that is true for each human being. Everybody, no one is the same as the next. Even though that we've got 8 billion people, everybody is a prototype. That's unbelievable if you think about it, right? And the uniqueness becomes even more unbelievable, because everybody is not only has got a different mind and a different hair color, and a different eye, and all these and a different fingerprint, and a different DNA. But everybody has got a different intellect. Yeah, there are no two people which are thinking exactly the same, through all the channels, exactly the same. And this is just so unbelievable that it is multi-dimensional, this uniqueness. That's just a miracle which is unbelievable. Okay? Now Claudia is suggesting that we need to back this up with names. We need different names for different people in order to distinguish them. Even if we would not have the different names, we would also be able to distinguish them because they are just organically, they are different.
Excuse me.
You should be blessed forever and ever.
Thank you.
Okay, now the point is this, that when we talk about names, then so far we only spoke about the number plates which every person is carrying, in order that I should be able to know that he's Jack and you are Jason, and that she is Rochel and she is Nachama, and and there is a Sarah, and there is a Shuni, and there is all different people. So this is an outer distinction between one person and the next. But what the Torah is going to show us now is something much deeper than this. Because the animals, we are not calling, of course, there are some people which call their cat names. They call their dog names. And maybe a zookeeper will call his elephant a name. But that the elephant is an elephant and that the lion is a lion, that in itself is already different names. A human being is not like this, because all the human beings are human beings. No matter if they are black or white or green or yellow, or if they've got rastas, or if they've got short hair, or if they're bald like myself, if they've got beards, or if it doesn't matter who they are, they're always going to be human beings. And there's no next kind of distinction how you can take up. The only distinction which you have got is, as you will see, they're going to be males and females. But there is not like in the animal world that you've got a type of human being which would be an elephant, and the other one would be a giraffe, and the other. There are those different types and species and races of different human beings. Doesn't exist. Races maybe yes, but not species of different human beings doesn't exist. This is something which only exists with animals. And why it is so, this will be the topic for the next few weeks, which we will go to discuss. But what the Torah now tells us is on a very, very simple level to make sure that we understand that every animal has got a different name for what it is. An elephant is an elephant, a lion is a lion, a giraffe is a giraffe, a cat, a dog, all these kind of things. Of course, you've got different types of dogs. You've got different types of cats. You've got different types maybe of giraffes. I don't know. I'm not busy. Yeah, I'm not busy in this kind of area. So I maybe we need to make some more research. Maybe you know more.
Not about giraffes.
Okay.
Specifically.
Okay, but animals in general.
So yes.
Okay.
Different species.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So this is quite interesting that with the human being, this doesn't exist. Okay, we've got one type of human being which is a male, but another type of human being which is a female, and there is no under categories. Do you agree? Not very.
Well,
I agree.
Tell me what
well,
your thoughts are.
scientifically, we know now there's people who've got both kind of.
What that they're male and female in
Yeah.
one. Okay, so that's fine. This is one odd one out, but it's not a general possibility that all males, like with animals, that we've got males, but we've got cow males, and we've got cat males, and we've got dog males. And
Yeah, human males.
yeah, exactly.
So it's still within the same species.
Exactly.
If it's a case where you are born with two sets of genitalia.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's always the same, right? So this is quite interesting that the human being is different than an animal in that sense. And this is, we will see in the future why it is so. For now, let's just jump into this last pasuk here. It starts at the end of the last Vayikra Ha'adam Shemot. Okay? Vayikra Ha'adam Shemot. The Adam, the human being, it's on page 12, the last line, 12, yeah, not 14, 12. Last line, the last three words. Vayikra ha'adam shemot. And the man assigned names. I'm not sure if I'm happy with the translation assigned, but I think it's more, he called it names, right? Because it comes from the Shorash likrot, to call. Who did he call names? We're on page 14, the top. Lechol ha'behema, to all the cattle, ule'oif ha'shamayim, and to the birds of the sky, ule'chol chayat ha'sadeh, and to all the beasts of the field, ule'adam lo matzah ezer kenegdo. And but for man, for the human being, he did not find responding to him. So we already read this pasuk last week, and we spoke a lot about what does it mean, the helper and so on. And now I'm going to enlighten this pasuk from a different area. What this pasuk actually tells us is that we have to picture this in the following state. Adam HaRishon is standing there, and God makes all the animals which exist in the animal world, not fish, because for some reason the Torah does not mention fish here. Anything which is above water, not in water, is passing through Adam. And when he sees them passing through, he looks at them and he gives them a name. Now, how does this work? First of all, who passes through? Who is passing by Adam? So, Adam sees passing through a male and a female of the same species and type of animal. So let's take an example of a cat. Are you familiar with cats?
Mm.
Yes or no?
Mm.
Have you got cats at home?
No.
Good.
No.
So there are different types of cats. I've got no idea what they are all called, but there are different types of cats. Each type of a cat passes by with its partner. A male and a female passes by Adam. The same is true for all the species of dogs, and the same is true for all the elephants, and for all the giraffes, and for all the lions, and for all the tigers, and for everything which is not living in the water. Everything passes by Adam, and when Adam looks at them, he gives them a name. Well, how does he know what name to give them when he looks at them? How does that work?
God put them in his head. Hashem put them in his head.
Okay, so how? So what? It's just fed from Hashem directly into his head. He doesn't have to do anything by himself. He has to use his logic.
I was going to say, it's a unique process depending on the animal, because you might refer to their appearance or to their noise or to their action.
Very good, perfect. So Hashem gives Adam the potential of using his common sense, and through using his common sense, coming to different conclusions. As Jack is saying, he's looking at the dog, he's looking at what the dog looks like, what's the form of his body, what's the silhouette of his body. Yeah? He's standing on four legs, he's got the tail in the back, he's looking angry, trying to bite someone, maybe with his tongue outside, whatever he sees. And then his wisdom tells him that this must be something which is called a caliph in Hebrew. I'm not going to go through all the animals, but I'll tell you a few examples. Why is a dog called a caliph? And you know what? It's biblical that the dog is called a caliph, because in Parshat Bo, in the third portion of the second book, which is called Exodus, right? And the third Parsha, the third portion is called Parshat Bo. And in Parshat Bo, the Torah tells us the whole story of the Exodus of the Jewish people, how they exit Egypt. And one of the miracles which the Torah points out there is that while all the firstborn Egyptians were dying and the Jews were busy preparing their Paschal lamb, the dogs did not bark. Now, what the heck has this got to do with what's the miracle in dogs not barking? And who cares about the dogs if they are barking or not barking? Yeah. What does the Torah want to show us there? So the Torah is telling us, and this has got a very, very big significance, this story there, and I'll soon show you something which is the result which comes out of it till this day, this very day. Torah tells us that the nature of a dog is that when the angel of death is in the proximity of a dog, then the dog can sense that the angel of death is around, and he starts barking. And this is scientifically proven today. Sometimes somebody dies in a house, and that person's got a dog, and the dog will start barking, barking, barking. That's how he draws their attention that someone should come and look what's happening. Right? So dogs have got this sensitivity to understand that someone is dying. Why? Because he senses the angel of death. This is what the Gemara tells us. Now, obviously, if there are so many Egyptians dying at that night, there must have been a choir of dogs barking because there are so many dead people and there's so much of this angel of death around. But at the same time, it's a festival for the Jews. The Jews are collectively a feast. They're having the Paschal lamb on this evening. So it would be really disturbing if I'm sitting here with a beautiful laid table with candles, with a nice meal, and I've got all these dogs barking all over the place. So the Torah the Hashem makes a special miracle that in this night, the dogs are not barking. And this makes the Gemara say that you know why a dog is called Kelef? Because which other word do we find in the word Kelef? Lev, yeah, the heart. The same dog, which can be aggressive against someone who wants to attack someone which is near to him, can also show a lot of heart to him. That's why people choose dogs to be, of course. Yeah.
Controversial statement.
That is very, very controversial. The point is,
she's right.
Yes.
right. Now, the point is that
Dogs are man's best friend.
dogs are best man's friend. They've got a lot of heart for people, and they are. And you know what the Gemara tells us, and this is maybe Nahama will think that this is gross. That's always when she says what she says when I say something like that. The Gemara says that dogs merited for something very special. For that the dogs did not bark in that night, that they overcame their own nature and they did not bark, but they were happy to listen to Hashem, which told them not to bark. From their excrements, yes, and the excrements, that's the word, right? The excrements of a dog are used in order to prepare the parchment on which you are writing tefillin and mezuzot. Yes. So you have to. Yes. No, of a dog. You are taking the skin of a cow, and you have to soak it in the excrements of a dog.
Excrement.
Yeah. You have to. This is what the Gemara says. The Gemara says this, and this is only, and of course this needs a lot of thought. Why the excrements and why all these things. We have to understand this thing properly, but that's not for now.
Let's use another leather tanning. I think that's not the only instance of that being done. I think there are other tanning processes.
Yes, but in the process for something, the urine is used for the incense which we are doing in the Beis Hamikdash. We could use doing it because we are not bringing it into the temple, right? Okay, so that's what you are referring to. But the point is that Hashem never owes anybody any rewards. So the dogs were happy to be quiet in that night. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them a reward that until this day, we are using that method in order to refine the parchment on which tefillin and mezuzot are written on. And now, again, we are diverting off a little bit, because what's the origin of this whole thing? Adam, when he sees the dog with his partner, he calls that animal a kelef, because he looks at him and he sees that animal not only can be aggressive, but he's got a lot of heart and is well-hearted, warm-hearted to his owner, to whoever is trying to attack him. Kelef is a dog. Kelef, like a heart. It's a good heart. Yeah, it's good-hearted. Okay, so that is an example how Adam chooses the names for the animals. And we can go on and on and on. We can go through the whole list and we will see that this is... Okay, so at one point we will go through more animals in order to understand what lies behind them. But this is what Adam does. Adam looks at an animal. He sees with his wisdom, which HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives him, like Rochel Hinder is telling us, he's looking at the at the strengths, at the attributes of that animal, and according to that, he decides which name to call it. But this process has got a negative side effect for him. Because while he works through this whole list of animals, he realizes that all these animals have got something which he hasn't got. And this is what? A partner. Beautifully hand in hand with, with all their partners.
Oh, the dogs.
Yes.
Poor and poor.
Exactly. And Adam hasn't got anybody to hold a hand to, huh? Make what? So this is what we have got on the 5th day. So what material Hashem used to make them? So he used the earth as well, but it was in a different kind of, it was a being which, all the potentials which were actualized of earth. But that's not for now. What we have to understand now is that this human being realizes that there is no partner for him. And I mentioned it very briefly last week. Why doesn't he know the obvious? Actually, there is a partner for him. He's carrying his partner all the time himself. And this is what the Gemara tells us in Eruvin. The Gemara tells us that Adam, the first Adam, was male on one side and female on the other side. Right? So the same body, on one side was female, on one side was male. And what Hashem does, what this Adam doesn't realize is that the female is him himself. And that's why he gets upset, because he doesn't realize that there is a female around, but he doesn't see where it is. And therefore, Hashem does the following thing. Hashem takes, let's go to the next pasuk, pasuk 21, Chav Aleph. And here it says, Vayapel Hashem Elokim Tardema al ha'adam vayisham. And Hashem cast a deep sleep on Adam, and he slept.
May I ask quickly what that dash in the middle of the sentence means?
Yes. Okay, so anytime when we get, this is called the psik. Okay. So in order that nobody should come to the idea that this Tardeima, what does Tardeima mean? It means a very deep sleep. I don't know how it translates it here.
Deep sleep.
Yeah, deep sleep. Okay, so it's like when you get was ist sogar bei der Operation, with these guys, anesthesia. Yeah, when you get an anesthetic, this is the state in which you are when you are in a Tardeima. Now, some people would read this pasuk in a way, Elokim Tardema, that God was in a deep sleep, right? So we get this psik in the middle that we should 100% be sure to make an interrupt, to pause there for a second, so that we know that Vayapel Hashem Elokim Tardema, exactly, Allah Agam. So Hashem Elokim is putting Adam into a very deep sleep, Vayisham, and he sleeps. And while he is sleeping, Vayikach, you have it?
Yeah.
Vayikach, Hashem takes, Achad mitzal otav, one of his ribs, Vayizgor basar tachtena, and he closes it up with flesh. Yeah, or here it says in the English translation, he filled it in flesh in its place. Now this pasuk needs a lot of explanation. At the very beginning it says, Vayapel Hashem Elokim. Who is that Hashem Elokim?
It's Hashem.
It's Hashem. So what is he called? Hashem or Elokim?
Both.
So why do we need both?
You
Why does the pasuk have to tell us that both?
You mentioned this last week. It's not the only time that does that.
It's not the only time.
No.
Right? It's going to happen a few times. And every time when it happens, we need both attributes of God. We need the attribute of mercy, which is Hashem, and we need the attribute of judgment, which is Elokim. Now, judgment, we don't mean judgment that that Hashem is going to judge someone, but we are talking about nature, how nature is operating. Okay, so when Hashem creates a female, then this is going to be absolutely necessary for the kiyum, which means for the not observance, for the preservance of the human race. Okay, without a female, we are not going to. If Adam would die without a female next to him, then this would be the last human being. There wouldn't be any human beings after that. So in order to preserve the human race, we need a female. Otherwise, it's not going to work. We need a male and a female. That's why we need the Shem of Elohim here. We need Hashem's name as Elohim, as judgment, because this is something which is going to involve nature. At the same time, when Hashem creates this, creating a lot of human beings is extremely problematic, because these human beings are naturally going to rebel. This is what a human being is. A human being is always thinking that he knows it better, and he's going to try out certain things, and he's going to rebel against God, as we see very soon that the first Adam and the first male and female rebelled against Hashem. So they are going to rebel in order that if it would be only Elohim, if it would only be judgment, once a person rebels, he immediately would disappear. Couldn't work differently. If somebody would transgress one of the laws which it says in the Bible, and this is true also for non-Jews, by the way, because non-Jews have also got 7 laws which they, and if they are not keeping them, then if it would only go according to Elohim, these non-Jews would immediately disappear. That person would immediately disappear once he has transgressed that law. Yeah, I'll give you an example. If you know there's a socket down there, or here, yeah, there's a socket on the wall. What happens if you put your finger into the hole there?
Electric shock.
You'll get an electric shock. And if you keep the finger inside, not removing it, even though you get an electric shock, then you won't exist. Yeah, it will burn your whole insides, everything. You'll die immediately.
So,
This is judgment.
Right.
Hey?
Right.
This is what judgment means. The judgment means that it's got an immediate effect. Of course, it's always got an immediate effect. So in this case, let's take one of the 7 Noahide laws, which are also applicable to non-Jews. One of the things is that they have to be careful that they are not allowed to kill anybody. Yeah? Any non-Jew is not allowed to kill anybody. If he does kill someone, if it would go according to the law of judgment, Hashem would kill him immediately. He would just drop dead. This is what would happen. It's a cause and an effect. Why is it not so? Why is this cause and effect extended? Cause is here, and the effect can sometimes be like 50 years later, sometimes even a generation later. It doesn't have to affect the same person who caused the cause. Why is it like this? Because there is Hashem, there is Rachamim, there is mercy, and Hashem is always waiting for somebody to repent and to correct his own way, in order that Hashem should be able to not have to cause the effect which he himself, caused to call onto the effect. Do you follow me? The cause and the effect is going to be extended through Hashem, through mercy, through the attribute of mercy which Hashem has got, because Hashem is waiting that perhaps somebody is going to do tshuva, somebody is going to repent. Therefore, the Prophet gives you the option he rather will not do the effect immediately, he will wait and give it some time. And that's why we've got Hashem Elohim here, because when Hashem puts Adam into an anesthesia and he wants to operate away the rib from him in order to create a woman, then this is going to be the outset for all the trouble in the future. And if Hashem does that in the outset with mercy as well, then these people which are going to rebel in the future will not have the ability to rely on the mercy. Follow me? Good. So this is number 1. Number 2, when it says here in the Pasuk that Hashem removed a rib and he filled it up with flesh, so what exactly did he say? The problem with this question is, because I don't even know if it's translated into rib. What's the translation here?
Side.
A side. Okay, so I like that better. The rib is problematic because it's really a side, and a side can be anywhere. A side can be from the front, from the back, from the side, and there is a disagreement in the Gemara in Eruvin. There are two opinions about that. One opinion tells us that the original human being, Adam, had a tail. Hashem operated away that tail, and from that tail he created the female. This is one opinion. The other opinion is that, as I said before, the front was male, the back was female, and Hashem split the whole body in the middle from top to bottom, and he left the male behind, and the female was now there newly. Now, the one of the effects which this has got, that Hashem is taking away. So what does Hashem take away from what? What's the original and what's the byproduct?
The original is the side, the byproduct is the woman.
All right. Exactly. So the byproduct is going to be the woman, the female, which is problematic, especially if you've got feminists sitting on the table. Yeah, they don't want to be byproduct. Do you feel yourself as a byproduct?
No.
You're not, right? Because you've got your full value.
Yeah.
The thing is that you can't feel, you've got no idea how a male feels because you have never been a male. You only know how a female feels, and I will never know how a female feels because I've never been a female. So therefore, we need the Gemara for that, because the Gemara has got more wisdom than we have all got. And the Gemara is going to tell us something amazing. The Gemara tells us that by nature, a male is always looking for the female. Yeah, most of the times, females are not the ones who are looking for boyfriends. It's most of the times males which are looking for girlfriends, right? A male is always looking for a partner. The woman is not, she's got different things in her mind. She's looking maybe for security or for other stuff. Or she's got a complete different priority list, what she's looking for in her life. A male is always looking for a woman. The way the Gemara says this, that since HaKadosh Baruch Hu took away that side from Adam, the male is always looking for his lost object. Yeah, that's what the lost object is, the female, because he lost the female side of him. Before Hashem did this surgery, the female was a part of the male. And now Hashem is operating this away, so he's lost that part. Now he has got to go and look for it. Right? And this is the reason why I said last week that when he eventually did find his soulmate, let's call it like that, yeah, when people eventually get engaged and get married and eventually later on they will have maybe children, then the point is that this woman, which is now married to this man, can be a help or she can be against him. We spoke about this, yeah, you remember? Ezer kenegdo. The reason why this is so is because it's very much depending on the guy which is looking for his lost object, how he behaves to that lost object. If I'm finding my lost object and I'm throwing it into a corner and I am not really taking care of it, then I won't have much pleasure of it. If I'm finding the lost object and I'm taking it home and I'm starting to polish it and to take care of it and to look after it and to water the plant every day, and really look after it, then I have a lot of pleasure of it. So that same lost object can be something which I can have fun of, or it can be something which can be terribly annoying, right? Depending on my own behavior, how I behave vis-a-vis that lost object. Okay, so this is the reason why the Torah here tells us that Hashem created this Ezer Kenegdo, and this all happens while the human being is in a deep sleep. Why does the human being have to be in a deep sleep for that?
That's a very, very brutal operation.
In terms of pain, you mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, what's the
Okay.
operation? I've lost you there.
Hashem operates away the female part from the male part.
Because he doesn't want them to know what he's doing.
All right, why not? You're on the right track, by the way. But why does he not want them to know what he's doing?
Because he doesn't want to be seen doing it.
What's wrong with that?
It's right there.
What's wrong?
No, but it's because it's
Surprise?
Yeah, well, it's got something. Yet try to take those two together. So the point is this:
Well,
you
they
are
have to
right.
spend their lives. They have to fall in love. They have to spend their lives together. So you can't expect a being that comes from the same being to easily do that. So you have to create a situation where two people can meet.
Very good. So you are opening a new avenue. I'll come to that one as well. The one with the pain, by the way, is not an argument because Hashem could have.
Without pain, you could have done it.
Yeah, he could have done it. That you don't experience the pain at that moment. Let's first go to Rocco Hinders and Jason's thing. What they are suggesting is actually exactly the right point. Hashem does not want him to see what he's doing. And the reason why he does not want him to see what he's doing, because note, anything which happened in creation, there was no witness of man. No man ever witnessed whatever Hashem is doing. You realize that? You can go through the whole creation from day 1 till day 6. The fish could have witnessed how Hashem brought birds into being. The sun witnessed how Hashem brought an animal into being. An animal witnessed how suddenly there was an Adam here. But Adam didn't witness any of these. Why not?
because wasn't he outside of the garden?
Yes, but why did Hashem not create Adam first, and then he would have seen all the greatness of Hashem?
Because then he would have, I guess, seen Hashem's wisdom, and he wasn't advanced enough to know that.
Okay, so
because that's the whole point of the tree of knowledge, correct?
Okay, so I'm going to turn around your words a little bit, and that will be the true key to this. The basis of the human being is going to be that he has to be a believer. Okay? Any human being, and unfortunately this is also true for atheists, if you are not a believer, then you are missing out the whole purpose of being a human being. A human being needs to believe. And the only way that a human being can really survive pain, and he can survive tragedy, and he can survive all different kinds of negative stuff, is only going to be if he's a believer. If you've got faith and if you've got belief, then this is the key to your future life. If you would have seen how Hashem does everything, he doesn't have to believe that there's a God. He doesn't have to believe in anything because he saw it. Yeah, and anything which you saw, knowledge is not belief. Knowledge is knowledge. Scientifically, to know how things work is not believing how things work. If you have got something which you believe that it works without knowing how it works, that is true belief. And this is what Hashem wants to reach with Adam, and that's the reason. That's one of the reasons which Chazal tell us, which the Gemara tells us, which Zohar tells us, that's one of the reasons why Hashem created the human being last. Because this is the way that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to make the human being to be an absolute believer. Now, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu would not put Adam to sleep, and he would be with his full consciousness at the thing, then he will not have to believe. He will see exactly how it came into being. Like this, he wakes up suddenly, and he sees that there's a beautiful female next to me. And this is what she was. The Gemara speaks about her beauty, about all the faculties which she had, and this is what now it's a surprise, as you said. Yeah, he's being surprised because he is doing his belief truly and only because he's going to believe that Hashem brought it here. Something which he just yesterday complained that he hasn't got because he was jealous about all the animals which came through, and he saw that all the animals have got partners. Suddenly, after my deep sleep, I've got my partner myself. And now he can be grateful to Hashem that Hashem gave him a partner. And he has to believe in it. That's the reason why it works that way.
Could you not see this another way, that this is possibly the first time that maybe man was aware of desire?
Of course, when he saw the animals.
Correct.
Of course, that's the reason why he asked for it.
Yeah.
that's the reason why he was sad that he hasn't got it, because he had this desire of, he sees the male and the female, and he sees that male and female can reproduce together, and he sees for himself that I can't reproduce, then I'm missing it out. And this is why Hakadosh Baruch Hu gives him this option. But Hashem doesn't want to give it to him as a revealed thing. He wants to give it to him as a concealed thing. That's why Hashem puts him into sleep, in order to produce it.
Do you know Midsummer Night's Dream? Do you know the Shakespeare play? It's all about fairies and love and mistaken identities.
So the same kind of idea.
The king of the fairies puts to sleep 4 lovers who are mismatched and changes their partners by putting them next to people they're going to wake up with and fall in love with when they first see them.
Okay, so it's the same.
Maybe it's taken from the same story.
Probably. There you are. It's all based in the Torah, you must know. It's absolutely so. So basically, this is the question.
I was just going to say that the dog thing earlier did remind me of Sherlock Holmes. The instant dog was significant in that it didn't bark.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, correct.
Okay, so that's also based on that.
Yeah.
Could be. Yeah, it should be. What you see here is that all these stories, all these wisdoms of those books are all already preceded by, Torah. Yeah. So it's quite interesting. So this is what I have got to say today. Any questions?
What was the passage we got up to?
We have just finished 21.
Actually, one question.
Please.
The word for side.
Yes, it's